He was once the best point guard in the country. NBA players went to his high school games. But Dennis Smith Jr. failed so miserably, he was out of the league at 24 years old. It got so ugly, his own crowd was chanting for his backup.
And the chant of "We want Frank."
Dennis basically gave up. He put on a bunch of weight to try out for the NFL, but suddenly is starting in the NBA, locking down Steph Curry. So how is Dennis Smith Jr. making the most inspiring comeback in the NBA? But first, today's sponsor is Prize Picks. I've been playing this year and it has made NBA games so much fun. That's what this is all about, having fun. But winning money is also fun too. And Prize Picks has two options for you to still win, even if you're wrong. Flex plays let you miss 3 out of 5 squares and still win. So you can really test your knowledge of the game and go for a big payout. So I want to show you what my 5 flex plays are for tonight. I'm going to do the fantasy points of Davion Mitchell, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, Nikola Vucevic, and Paul George. And I'm gonna go more, and more because that's how I roll. And I'm gonna play 50 bucks on this one. But I'm gonna pick the 3 that I'm most confident in for a 3-player power play, which is higher risk but also higher reward. I'm predicting more on the fantasy points of Davion Mitchell, Pascal Siakam, and Scotty Barnes. And 25 bucks on that one. They've got a sweet deal for us. Use promo code AMHOOPS when you sign up, and it will give you a 100% deposit match bonus. So if you deposit 100, they'll give you 100. Deposit 50, they'll give you 50. Make sure to use promo code AMHOOPS when you sign up. Well, he knew he wanted to be in the NBA since he was 4 years old. That drive led him to dunk at age 10. His first in-game dunk was a windmill at age 11. We have the video to prove it. As a junior in high school, he won Gatorade Player of the Year in North Carolina, but tore his ACL before senior year. But he was dunking again in 2 months, because it turns out he was born with 2 ACLs in that knee. So as a college freshman, he won ACC Rookie of the Year and was ready for the draft. Many people thought the Knicks would take him at 8th overall because they needed a point guard, but instead they took Frank Ntilikina, and Dennis fell to the Mavericks at 9th. At the time, LeBron said the Knicks passed on a really good one, and Dallas got the diamond in the rough. He should be a Knick, but Dennis joined the Mavs, who still really didn't have a direction with an old Dirk Nowitzki. Smith made the all-rookie team as their second best scorer, but everything changed when they drafted Luka Doncic the next year. Luka and Dennis competed for playing time, but they were close friends off the court. They lived in the same apartment building, they played video games together, and Dennis made sure to show Luka around town. But then, head coach Rick Carlisle didn't see it that way. He embarrassed Dennis in front of the team. ESPN reported multiple players were shocked during a team meeting when Carlisle accused Smith of being jealous of Doncic. The players considered it incredibly unfair to Smith, who wasn't playing well but was making an honest effort to mesh with Doncic on the court. Doncic particularly resented what he perceived as Carlisle's attempt to pit him against his friend and teammate. Carlisle was known to do stuff like that. He famously beefed with point guards like Jason Kidd and Rajon Rondo, and eventually Luka, but Dennis didn't have the clout that those other players had. It got so bad, he was traded to the Knicks for Kristaps Porzingis, which was great, honestly, because it was a fresh start in a place he should have been anyway. In 21 games after the trade, Dennis averaged 15 points, but in year 2, everything fell apart. Injuries started to pile up and it affected his play. People were so upset. They traded an all-star in Porzingis for some young backup and they blamed it on Dennis. It got so bad, 3 games in, fans were chanting to bench him.
And the chant of "We want Frank" is starting here at the Garden. That's tough for a young man. Hear from the home crowd.
The day after that game, his stepmom died, who Dennis was close to, and it crushed his emotions and his confidence. After that, he slipped a disc in his back and he was never the same again. David Fizdale was fired, Coach Tom Thibodeau stepped in, but Dennis was out of the rotation the next year, so he went to Tibbs and actually asked to go to the G League. They honored that request, but traded him to the Pistons for Derrick Rose. 20 games in with Detroit, he was averaging about 7 points a game when he tore his meniscus. So they traded him to Portland, but after a few minor injuries, he hurt his elbow and just got cut. The crazy thing is, nobody picked him up after that. This was a top 10 pick out of the league at 24 years old. Guys he was ranked higher than in high school were flourishing. Jason Tatum, Jonathan Isaac, Malik Monk, Miles Bridges, Bam Adebayo. Now no one wanted Dennis Smith Jr. And you could say injuries ruined his career, but it could also be the teams he played on. It's a super underrated fact that who drafts a player can make or break his career. He just so happened to hook up with the Mavericks and the Knicks during some of their darkest seasons in franchise history. When the opposite happens, you get like a Gary Payton II last year on the Warriors or Cameron Payne on the Suns. So despite all his talent, with no one wanting him, Dennis basically gave up. He said, quote, "I told my previous agent I'm not going overseas. If don't work out, I'm just going to the NFL." And I was dead ass serious. I put on hella weight. I was gonna try. Dennis was a star defensive back in high school and he could have played college football. But while he put on weight, he moved to Miami and hooked up with the Taylor Sports Group, who run a program for players during the summer. While he was there, Dennis bumped into a Hornets assistant who was looking for a backup point guard. Most people expected them to sign Isaiah Thomas or Kemba Walker, but Smith played so well in Miami, he signed a one-year deal with his hometown team. And let's be honest, nobody expected anything from Dennis Smith Jr. They were shocked he even got signed. But days before the season, LaMelo Ball badly sprained his ankle. Then Terry Rozier rolled his ankle 2 games in. Suddenly, Dennis Smith Jr. is a starting NBA point guard after putting on weight to desperately try out for the NFL. But in his 4th start against the champs, Dennis had the ball down 2 with 26 seconds left and did this.
They're on their feet.
Dennis Smith Jr. I love it! He's got guts! Zero fear!
Then on the other end, he locked down Steph Curry to send the game to overtime. I know locked down Steph Curry is a strong statement. What else do you call that? The Hornets won that night, and the next game, he became the 3rd player this year to drop at least 15 points, 5 boards, and 5 steals, joining Jimmy Butler and DeJounte Murray. It looks like, as long as he can stay healthy, Dennis Smith has locked down the backup point guard job on his hometown team. He might revive his NBA career.
I had to work my ass off this summer, and you know, a lot of people are trying to say, oh, he shouldn't be in the league, this, that, and the third, and just having to tune all of that out and lock in and to be able to come in and execute and win a game against those guys, should that mean the world to me.
Now, I don't want this to sound like he's gonna be a star like people predicted. The fact is, he has never developed a jump shot. Yes, he's made 8 of 18 threes so far this year, but that's never been his strong suit. Sometimes players get drafted high with elite skill, hoping, oh, they'll develop a shot in the NBA. It never happened. The Knicks even had their, quote, shot doctor try to fix his jumper, and it did not work. But the good news is, DSJ is one of the toughest defenders at his position. He can run an offense with very few turnovers, and that is a backup type player who stays in the league a long time, which is huge for a dude who was getting offers to play in Europe 2 months ago. His new head coach, Steve Clifford, said this: "Some guys figure it out late, some guys figure it out right away." He is a talented guy. Even though with the injuries, he's not the athlete he was, I don't see that he's doing anything he can't continue to do, frankly. And if that's true, we are witnessing the comeback of an NBA bust who honestly deserves it. I hope you enjoyed that feel-good video. Watch my most controversial video ever. I'm actually really surprised at the comments. It's shocking, actually, and even though it hasn't gotten a ton of views, it makes me even happier that I did end up making this video. Check it out.